Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It's your host, Denise Salcedo. It is Saturday, August 19th, and I am back to talk about AEW Collision. Now, this one's going to be, I feel like, an interesting episode to talk about Collision because I'm just going to be real with you guys from the very beginning. I really feel like this was the weakest episode of Collision. And we kind of got the same thing that happened last week, where last week we kind of got a whole lot of nothing. And then the big thing at the end was the main event, which was House of Black and CMFTR, which ended up being a banger, right? We kind of got the same thing today on today's show, where I kind of felt like there was a whole lot of nothing throughout the show, but then the main event really blew you away. I love the main event. I can't wait to talk about the main event, but I did overall feel like this wasn't necessarily the strongest episode of Collision. And so it kind of bummed me out, man, because you guys were here when not just a couple weeks ago I was talking about how I was really enjoying Collision a whole lot. So I don't know. I'm kind of feeling a little disappointed based on last week and this week with Collision, but we're going to break it down. I'll go ahead and explain why I felt the way I felt and what actually went down on the show. So we will get to all of that. But before I do, thank you so much, by the way, to Trayman Young, who talked about my RVD interview. So for those of you who do not know, I put out two very big interviews this week and last week here on my YouTube channel. And I was so freaking excited, guys, because it's not as easy as you think to get interviews, especially big ones. So the fact that I was able to get Hikaru Shida and then get RVD immediately after that, it was a huge win for me and two good gets for my YouTube channel. So I was very happy with all of the feedback that everything's been getting, especially that Shida interview. If you guys haven't checked it out, please do so. I promise you, you will not regret it. Also, before we get into Collision, just a heads up to everyone. So I'm leaving on Tuesday to London. So I mentioned this already on Wednesday's show, but this week's going to look a lot different here on my channel just because I am going to be in London. I'm taking my hotspot with me. I'm going to be aiming to do post shows. They're probably just going to be the following day instead of immediately afterwards. So next week is going to look a little weird here, but I will be back the following week to my normal schedule. And then also I'm going to be posting a ton of content from AEW All In and just the entire week in London here. So you might not get what you normally get, but you'll get a lot of really cool stuff. AEW is doing a media day, guys. This is the first time that AEW has ever done a media day before their events. They've never done them. They usually do like the pay-per-view, right? And then afterwards there's the media scrum. This is the first time that I've known that I've attended where they actually set up interviews with the talent beforehand. And of course, they kind of told us already some of the names that they're expecting for that, for people to talk to the media day. And there's some pretty good names in there, but of course, cards subject to change. Sometimes when it comes to talent and media availability, things change, but expect some interviews, expect some cool content up here on the channel and all of that good stuff. So let's get to it. We got a couple of we got a lot of comments in here right now. I'm going to kick it off with the super chats that we have here. The first one is from Brandon James. Didn't write anything, but I still appreciate you, Brandon, for sending this in. We got Warhammer's back. Warhammer, I missed you, man. Warhammer was a lot of fun on our SummerSlam post show. No, not the post show, the watch along. Excuse me, the watch along. Warhammer lit that place up. We also got Chris Bacon Time says, poor Tony Schiavone, first Bullet Club Gold, then Christian. Someone's always getting picked on when it comes to the interviewers, the announcers. Someone's always getting picked up on. Right now, it just so happened to be Tony Schiavone's time, but he does get a lot of those moments. Thank you so much, Chris, for sending in the super chat. We got another one here from Living Dead Frank who says, you're killing it with the interviews, Denise. Let's effing go. Dude, guys, you don't even know, man. I am constantly trying to get good interviews here on the channel, everyone. And so even though there's times where I may not post big interviews, it's not that I'm not trying. I'm constantly trying. I'm constantly pitching myself saying, hey, do you have talent available? Do you have talent available? And so I'm constantly trying to get talent. So that's why whenever I do post interviews up, I push them so freaking hard so that afterwards I could be like, hey, yo, remember that one time that you sent me so-and-so? Check out the numbers that it did and the feedback that it did. Do you want to send me someone else? So just to keep the ball rolling and stuff, because it is really hard sometimes to get talent interviews on here. So I was very happy to get those. Grapple Geekery sends in a super chat saying, it kind of felt like there were other things planned and they changed to tonight's matches instead. Nothing was bad, but it wasn't as good as usual. I felt, to me, there were certain parts, and I'll elaborate more once we run down the show, but there were certain parts of the show to me that kind of felt like they were stretching things out in terms of there were some matches that went a lot longer where I'm looking at it and I'm going, do we really need this match to be that long? Probably not. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Thank you so much to Grapple Geekery for this super chat, though. You guys are really freaking awesome. We got another one here from Doppelganger399 who says, are you streaming the Wrestle Talk Gates in London? So, are you storming the Wrestle Talk Gates in London? I was like, streaming the gates, and you could see the wheels spinning in my head. I was thinking about your question there. So I am planning on meeting all of the Wrestle Talk guys for the very first time. For those of you who do not know, I used to work with Wrestle Talk for about two years, I believe, maybe 2.5 years. And so I know all those guys. The only one I've ever met in person is Tempest, but I've never met Luke, who was my co-host for every single Friday and is one of my dearest friends. And we've never met in person, Luke and I. And we literally did a show every Friday for 2 years, and we never met in person. So it's finally going to happen. I'm very excited about that. But I did reach out to Luke and I did let him know that, hey, this is my available. Luke has my whole schedule, guys. So if he wants to plan things, he is more than welcome to plan anything with me. And they are lending me their studio as well for when I shoot my Busted Open show on Saturday. So I'll be streaming for Busted Open from the Wrestle Talk studios because I don't trust my hotel Wi-Fi for that kind of stuff. Thank you so much, Doppelganger, for the nice super chat. Tim Weininger sends one in saying, weird week. Rampage best AEW show this week. Isn't that crazy? Honestly, like even today when Mark and I were kind of reviewing the week on Busted Open and we were kind of talking about just like everything that happened in general, everything was super mid this week. There were certain things that I really loved on like every show, but that doesn't mean that you love the entire show. So yeah, it was a little bit of a mid-week in wrestling, but hey, I guess we're going to get those. And I'm really excited, like starting this week, given that we're going into All In, and then immediately afterwards it's All Out. So I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful about what we're getting the next coming weeks. We got another one here from Warhammer who says, Denise in Survivor Series ? LOL. I don't know. So you're talking about their series that they do, Survival Series. I've seen it, but I don't think I'm in it, but I have seen it. Thank you so much, Warhammer, for another super chat. All right, everyone, let's get to this. Let's talk about AEW Collision and why I was not crazy about it. So let's see. I'm going to start off with Samoa Joe versus the Golden Vampire. Now, some of you are probably sitting here going, damn, I thought I was up to date with all of the AEW wrestlers. Who the hell is the Golden Vampire? Well, my friends, I'm putting up the picture so you, for those of you who didn't watch Collision, you guys could know what we got here. So the show opened up with Samoa Joe versus the Golden Vampire. Now, for the last couple of weeks on Collision, Samoa Joe has been kind of having these matches with pretty much enhancement talent, and that's what they've been doing. So when Samoa Joe came out, I'm thinking, okay, we're going at this again. We're going to get another match that's just going to be throwaway. And then the second they showed Golden Vampire, you knew right away, guys, you knew right away that this was CM Punk. Like, you could tell just because it was a bodysuit. And you probably, I don't know if you can tell from this picture, but from the camera shots and the angles that we were seeing, you could easily tell that that was all CM Punk's body right there. And then the second he started doing his move set, you even more so knew that it was CM Punk. But this was, unfortunately, guys, this did not hit the mark. And I'm going to tell you guys why. I liked the concept. I liked the idea. I liked how it probably sounded and looked on paper, but the execution of this was not the best. So Golden Vampire goes, basically this match starts, Golden Vampire shoves the referee, and then he goes in, he gives a knee to Samoa Joe, and then hits him with the GTS, and then afterwards it's revealed that it's CM Punk. But unfortunately, the GTS itself just did not look good this time around, guys. It did not look good. If you don't believe me, go back, rewind, rewatch. Unfortunately, it was probably one of the weakest GTSs that we've seen. Oh man, I was so bummed because I'm like, all right, this is pretty funny. This is pretty cool that CM Punk's the Golden Vampire and he comes in. Cool, fine. I like what they're doing here. But unfortunately, the execution of itself felt very, very flat, very, very weak. And I'm like, oh man. So this unfortunately wasn't the best. But basically what comes of this is that last week, Samoa Joe referred to CM Punk as a little bitch for not accepting his challenge and for not even acknowledging his challenge and basically ignoring him. And so CM Punk takes the mic today, and when Samoa Joe is laid down on the match, he basically tells them, I accept bitch. And so now we're officially getting Samoa Joe versus CM Punk at All In. And I think we already knew that this was the direction that it was going in, guys. Like, we already knew this match was going to be made. And the common thing that I am seeing, though, on social media, because keep in mind, this is for the Real World Championship. So the Real World Championship is on the line. If this match didn't already feel predictable to you, I think it feels pretty predictable now. And there's like no way that I'm expecting CM Punk to lose in this match whatsoever. But you know what, though? It's CM Punk, it's Samoa Joe. You know you're going to get a good match, and it's going to be cool to see them perform on such a big stage. But then again, the overall execution that we saw today of all of this just wasn't the very best. And you guys know how big of a fan of Punk I am, but this was not it. This was not it, unfortunately. We got a couple of super chats to get into. We got a very nice super sticker from Ashley Acid 16. Ashley, thank you so much for sending in the super sticker. It's much appreciated, sending you over some good karma. Mr. Acosta says, this may have been the worst collision. Mr. Acosta, man, I'm with you on this one. I hate to go out and call shows the very worst or whatever, but we've only had a handful of Collision episodes now, so they're still very fresh in my memory, and there hasn't been a Collision episode that I disliked as much as this one. And even last week, I wasn't crazy about last week. If you guys heard my review last week, you know this, but this week I just thought was a little bit, it was a little bit that my interest was just not there. Wyatt Cox sends in a super chat saying, don't pick on Tony. He's old like me. Think about Bug. Wyatt Cox, I appreciate your sense of humor, and thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you a whole lot for making us laugh over here. Living Dead Frank sends in a super chat saying, was a nod to his friend, the Edge Conquistador Brood. Oh, well, Edge has been a huge topic, as you all probably know. Last night was his last match in Toronto, and possibly his last match, period. We don't really know. He didn't really say. He told the Toronto crowd that it was his last match in Toronto, and he's going to go home and he's going to make this decisions. He revealed in a recent, I believe it was a recent interview that he did, he revealed that his contract is up in September. So I don't know what Edge's plans moving forward are. Are we going to see him in AEW? Is he going to be done? Is he going to just leave and spend time with his family? Is he going to take a backstage role? What is he going to do? I have no idea. That is yet to be seen, but they did celebrate 25 years of Edge last night on SmackDown, and that was pretty cool. I love the match with Sheamus. For those of you who missed my review of that on Busted Open this week, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch that, and fun to just celebrate, I guess, Edge's career overall. Baby sends in a super chat saying, thanks for the RVD interview as well. It helped me forget it was 100 plus degrees while working on a hillside, listening to your podcast while at work. Baby, thank you so much. If you guys ever need a podcast to listen to while you're at work, this is, well, of course, I'm going to say it's a good one since, well, you know, it's my job to promote my own shit, right? I got to put over my own shit, guys. Ain't nobody burying their own podcast. So I'm going to start being... Sorry, that was really stupid. But anyways, I appreciate you enjoying that RVD interview. I had a really good time with it. Thank you so much, baby, and made the work day go very, very fast for you. All right, so let's press on from here and let's get into Jay White versus Dalton Castle. So one of the overarching themes, though, that we did get for AEW Collision today is that we had a lot of matches that we had someone that we were very interested in. And of course, this depends on the person, right? So this is arguable. I'm not speaking for everybody here, but for me, at least, watching a lot of what they had on Collision today, it felt very one-sided. And by that, I mean, we had a lot of matches where I cared about 50% of what we were seeing, 50% of the competitors in the match. By that, with Jay White and Dalton Castle, I didn't really care about, you know, Dalton Castle in this situation. The same thing with Willow Nightingale and Diamante. Fan of Willow Nightingale, still not there yet with Diamante. Will Hobbs and Kevin Koo, same thing. Will Hobbs, I care about. Kevin Koo, clearly I don't. That was a squash match. And so I kind of felt like we got a lot of that on today's show. And so that was the thing that I wasn't crazy about, especially considering that we have been seeing quite a bit of this on Collision, where we're seeing a lot of, big stars with lesser big stars, or, big stars with enhancement talent. And for me, that hasn't necessarily always, I don't want to see the entire show or a whole percentage of the show encompassed with that. So that was kind of part of what took me out of Collision. And so with this specific match, though, I do want to go ahead and break it down just a little bit more. So this was Dalton's AEW Collision debut. Now, I like Dalton Castle a whole lot, man. I've obviously been a fan of him since even before Tony Khan purchased Ring of Honor, and he was doing all his stuff in Ring of Honor. And we know that he went, he had a back injury, and unfortunately his, things changed for him after that injury. And so you can tell sometimes, you can tell with some of his previous work and his work now. So I do get it. I do think that the injury probably played, a bigger impact. Obviously, when it's your back, it plays a bigger impact on you. So that's one thing to consider. The one thing that I've always have liked about Dalton Castle, and this carries on all the time, and this was literally the exact same this time, was his personality. His personality is very, very, over the top, flamboyant, very fun, super heelish. He comes out and he's talking shit to the camera, and he's saying all of these things. And the way that he speaks, I can't even try to replicate it, but the way that he speaks to the camera and all of that, I do love it all. That was great. I love him doing the character portion of it. But in regards to the match itself, I wasn't really feeling it. I thought it was okay. It was probably the second best match that we saw on the night. But still, the main event was miles and light years ahead of what we saw here. There was one thing that I did not like, though, and this really, really kind of took me out of the finish itself. So I hated the Sal job for the finish of this match. So Jay White hits the switchblade on Dalton Castle, and the referee starts counting 1, 2, 3. In the middle of like 2 and 3, we see Dalton kind of look like he kicked out, like he got his arm up, but I think he was just trying to like reach for the ropes. But because he put his arm up so high in the count, it almost made it looked like it was a mistake, like he wasn't supposed to be counted to a 3. And so I didn't really like the finish of this match for that specific reason. I'm like, oh, nope, couldn't buy that one, guys. To me, that one looked really, like, really, it just didn't look good. So I wasn't into that. And that kind of took me out of the ending of this match. So that was a little bit irritating. So I don't know if they were kind of continuing to play off of that. That was done intentionally, or if that was just done, period. I don't know if that's going to be something that they play off of, or something that was just done that just didn't look that great. So that was what we got with that portion of it. And then afterwards, we did get a post-match promo. And I will say this, guys, damn, I love the Bullet Club Gold. I love Bullet Club Gold. I'm starting to get really interested in them. And considering that I was not a fan of the Guns, you guys know this. The Ass Boys have not been a fan of them whatsoever. But you know how, like, when you hear LA Knight do the, yeah, I'm pretty sure we all find ourselves at home going, yeah. Okay, well, the same thing is happening to me right now on AEW Collision. Instead, with the Bang Bang Gang. Oh my God. I've literally been just like all day today, or not really all day, but throughout the show, I just kept walking around my house while I was getting ready for this during the commercial breaks. I was like, yeah, the Bang Bang Club, the Bang Bang Gang, whatever the hell they're calling each other. I think I switched it like 20 times. But that to me has been really kind of sticking with me. And they even did that. We got 2 words for you: guns up. I'm really liking like the overall cohesiveness of the Bullet Club Golds. Like that, I'm definitely digging. After this is when I kind of realized that they were really stretching things out. Okay, like you could tell they were stretching things out on today's show, because not only did we get Jay White versus Dalton Castle, but then afterwards we got a whole ass post-match promo, and then after this we got another match with the freaking the Guns and the Iron Savages, which I didn't even realize were Bear Bronson and Bear Boulder until like midway last week. Like after I did my post show, I was like, oh shit, didn't even realize it. Like egg on my face, but whatever. So anyways, this match went way too long. I'm sorry, guys. We did not need this match to go as long as it did. Like the crowd wasn't into it. I wasn't into it. The Guns win. And I just personally felt like there wasn't anything to really like get invested to. And keep in mind, I like all these guys. I like all these guys, but it really felt like we didn't really need this match to go as long as it did. Now, I didn't track the time. I don't know how long it went, but to me, it felt like it went 20 freaking minutes. I don't think it went 20 minutes, but it felt very, very long. And so that's definitely not something you necessarily want so much in a match like this. So anyways, but yeah, the Bang Bang Club, it's definitely very fun to say, especially if you do it in their voice. Bang Bang Club. Yeah, the Bang Bang Club. Watch. Do it, guys. Walk around your house and start just going like Bang Bang Club. It's so stupid. I'm so stupid. I'm so unserious, guys. Don't even take me seriously no more. All right. It's Saturday. We got a hurricane coming. Whatever. All right. This sucks. All right, let's press on from here. We got a couple of super chats. This one's from Living Dead Frank, who says, I'm godless, but you are not, because you pray to me now. Damn, Miro's just the absolute best. And Beast promos, hopefully he gets pushed. I will say this, the second that you started this little quote here, instantly my brain like finished it right away, because it was a really good line that we got from Miro today. And we'll talk more about Miro in just a second. Warhammer sends in a super chat saying, excellent show. The stories progress. One word to describe it: cinema. Can't stop watching. Succession. Oh, and Collision was okay. I was about to say, Warhammer, you like this show? I wasn't going to shit on you because, I believe in everybody having their own opinion. And if you thought this show was, A++, sure, think whatever you want. I don't care. But I was low-key inside my head going, why did he like the show? What did I not see in this show today? But anyways, I have heard a lot of things about Succession, and I kind of want to watch it just because I've been seeing so many people on Twitter talk about it, and everybody's saying that it's very similar to just like everything that was going on in WWE with like the McMahons and everything. I don't know. That's what I kept seeing on Twitter. So I'm just going to roll with that because I haven't actually seen the show. Living Dead Frank says, Juice Robinson is the effing best. He's definitely stepping it up, guys. I felt like he was super vanilla when he first came into AEW. And keep in mind, like, I was a fan of his stuff in New Japan. And I was a fan of, like, even before he went to New Japan, I was already a fan of his and like starting to be. And so for me, when he came into AEW, I thought it was very, very vanilla. Like, I just did not have any interest in Juice Robinson. And I've been seeing such a huge difference now ever since they really started to form the Bullet Club Gold and really get that going on AEW. You're starting to see a lot more life, and the promos are cool. The whole entire presentation of the Bullet Club Gold is cool. So I'm digging what they're doing with that now. So I'm feeling Juice Robinson a lot more. The dude's hyped. He's hyped. Tim Weininger Jr. says, love the Guns with Bullet Club Golds. They're perfect together. I agree. It kind of takes away a little bit of, because they were annoying. Point blank, guys, they were annoying. They were annoying on as the ass boys. I'm sorry, like, I wasn't feeling them at all. And I was so pissed when they became tag team champions. I don't even want to go back to that time period. You guys were here for the post shows. You lived it. If not, then I'm sorry. I don't even want to go back to that. But now I'm finding them a lot more tolerable on the show. And they fit because they're supposed to kind of be a little bit annoying. You know, that's part of it. Sheldon Jackson says, so Denise, would you rather have Bullet Club Gold or the current New Japan version of Bullet Club led by David Finlay? I love what they're doing with Jay White, so I'm going with, I just think Jay White is freaking brilliant, man. Sheldon, I love Jay White. I think he's phenomenal, and I really do see him being the top guy in AEW, you know, within a very short time period. Like, I said this from the very beginning when he came into AEW. I said, this man is going to be AEW world champion, and I still firmly believe that. I had said by the end of the year, so maybe I'm changing the time frame, but I still think that he's going to be AEW world champion soon, sooner rather than later. Stephen Marchulli says, Stark's best of Collision tonight. AEW sign him to extension or Stanford makes him a star. Oh man, guys, he's been my favorite on Collision a lot. Today we did get a lot of Ricky Stark stuff, and we will get into that. All that was very good, but yeah, he's definitely been a gem of the show. Living Dead Frank says Big Bill with Ricky is absolute money. I completely agree, guys. I have been so happy that AEW has noticed Big Bill's potential. Like, they've noticed Big Bill's potential and they're actually going with it. And that makes me very, very happy. Oh boy, we got a massive super chat here from Mike Parker. Mike, thank you so much for this super generous super chat. Literally making Saturday worth it. Really, thank you so much for the super chat. Mike Parker says, my favorite part of the show is Ricky Starks getting around his suspension by being a manager. Barely into this heel run, but so far, it's the best he's been portrayed. Not much else to say about this show. It did not hold my interest this week. And yeah, this kind of feels like the overarching theme of today for Collision. But I think that Ricky Starks, whenever he gets 30 seconds on TV, 2 minutes on TV, 10 minutes on TV, whatever time he gets, he makes the best of it. And we will get into Ricky Starks a whole lot today because he did have a lot. Actually, you know what, Mike Parker, you sent a very generous super chat. I'm going to go ahead and cover Ricky Starks now. So we'll fast forward and we'll talk about what we skipped afterwards. But let's talk about Ricky Starks and what actually went down with him today. So there was a lot of cool stuff with this. So he had basically said that there was a mistake in what they announced last week about the 30 days. And so now apparently he's already served half of that because I guess they said it was instead 28 days. I don't know. So apparently he said that he served half of that already. So it's looking like there's a chance that we may see him at All In or All Out. Not entirely too sure on this just yet. And he basically says that he's doing it back. So in this backstage interview, he's clarifying all of these details with Tony Schiavone. And as we know, since last week, he had this managerial license. And the thing that he said last week was that he was going to burn down AEW, that he was going to cause chaos to AEW, that he was going to bring war to AEW. So what he did was bring in Big Bill. Big Bill is now aligning himself with Ricky Starks, okay? And I am freaking here for this. All right, so Before we actually get to the Big Bill match, we did get a video that was really cool. It was literally just a bunch of shots of Ricky Starks like modeling, and then he has like a voiceover playing, and in the voiceover he starts saying how he lost himself. He channeled his energy into the wrong vessel, that people took his kindness and mistaked it for weakness. And he says that this is who he has been all along and that he is absolute. And I've always, because they've done videos similar to this in the past for Ricky Starks, and I've always loved the videos that they've done for him because they just go with his vibe. He's a stylish guy. It all just works very well. Like he's got his character down. He's got his aesthetic down. Everything's down for Ricky Starks there. But anyways, we end up getting this match, Big Bill versus Derek Neal. And again, guys, another same thing. A guy I care about, a guy I don't care about. But this one kind of made just a tad bit more sense, only because it was clear that they were just wanting Big Bill to do a massive squatch. But again, when you have like the entirety of the show like this, it does take away your interest. You don't want to see the entire show composed of these types of matches. But anyways, Big Bill versus Derek Neal. Ricky Starks comes out along with him. He has the belt that he used on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And in this match, we do see Derek. He hit Big Bill a couple of times, but Big Bill gets pissed off, hits him with a big boot, choke slams him, and wins the match. So it was very, very quick. And then after this match, we see Ricky Starks literally whip Derek with a belt. And that was pretty much it. But the real thing to get excited about was legitimately just the pairing of Big Bill and Ricky Starks, because I want to be like, I want to see it clearly with his managerial license. He's going to be the one, he's going to be the mouth, right? He's going to be talking his talk, talking his shit, putting himself over, and Big Bill is just going to be the muscle. And I think with this partnership, not only is it going to give an opportunity for Ricky Starks to shine with his promo skills, but it's also going to elevate Big Bill into a different position on the roster. At least in my opinion, I think it will, because I'm really digging what Big Bill has brought. And I think that it's weird because like he hasn't even really gotten to do much in AEW, but the times that he has had any sort of match or any sort of TV time, he always delivers. I'm a fan, man. So anyways, I'm not going to continue sitting here putting Big Bill over. He's already big. He's already going to get over. Mike Parker, thank you so much for the super chat. We got another one here from Yes Boy who says, does Collision alternate Kevin Kelly and Ian Riccaboni? So Kevin Kelly was away, so that's why Ian Riccaboni was essentially filling in for him. I'm going to be real with you guys. I prefer Ian Riccaboni on commentary a whole lot more, only because there were little things that showed that Kevin Kelly had been gone for a bit, because there were some things that were a little rusty in terms of transitioning segments. Because as you guys know, the lead host, the play-by-play person, does all of these transitions and promotes certain things and moves the show along and really keeps that high, fast-paced energy. And then whenever there's like wrestlers on commentary, they kind of make sure to, have a little back and forth there as well. And that was one of the things that I think just across the board kind of fell flat with Kevin on today's show, where like you can tell he's been gone for a couple of weeks and is kind of, just starting to come back and get into the groove of things for Collision. So I get it. It's, coming back and all of that and getting yourself situated. I get it, but I do kind of feel like Ian Riccaboni was just a little bit more my cup of tea on this one. But I hope that Kevin Kelly does get a lot more comfortable, because even just like when Jay White, for like very briefly, he went on commentary, and I thought the banter there could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot funnier, and they just didn't run with it, because I almost feel like they didn't have that, that repertoire to be able to really have some fun on commentary. And so that obviously comes with a little bit more, experience specifically with AEW, because Kevin Kelly has a ton of experience, right? Ton of experience, but specifically speaking with AEW, there's still not that connection there just yet, at least not for me. So I do hope that it gets a little bit stronger on the show, because if I'm noticing little things like that, then I'm pretty sure other people are probably noticing little things like that. Booze on Life sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Booze on Life, who says Diamante should join Bullet Club Gold. Well, at this point, she's got the theme song, she's got the gun thing going. At this point, right? It would probably be something. I wouldn't mind that. It'd be all right. Living Dead Frank says, it was the belt he whipped the dragon with. It could become his trademark weapon. This is money. It's good that Punk's influence gets him pushed. Yeah, he could have fallen flat, right? It's in these situations when you're in there with somebody like CM Punk, it's a sink or swim situation, right? You either thrive, you either do good, or you don't. Ricky Starks, I think, was phenomenal in all of his in-ring interactions with with CM Punk, whether it was promo or matches. He killed it, knocked it out of the park. And I do like, you're right about this, by the way, Living Dead Frank. The belt could definitely become like his thing, his sledgehammer, his bat. But instead, he comes out with the belt, and it works too, because I'm pretty sure he wears belts too, just like in general with his clothes. I haven't paid too much attention to that, but it's not that hard to just be like, bam, taking out my belt and about to whip somebody. So anyways, yeah, I do like the idea of having, this trademark weapon. I'm a fan of that. And he seems to be going with it, at least for now. He definitely is going with it. By the way, I'm so happy with how many people we're getting here, basically putting over what they're seeing with Ricky Starks. I'm so freaking happy about that, because feel for like the longest time, anytime I talk about Ricky Starks on Dynamite, I really felt like I was trying to see more people, just talk a little bit more about him. But now we're getting it. He's proving himself. And I think this is definitely this whole feud that he's been doing with CM Punk has really started to level him up a whole lot. And especially on a show on Collision, where the thing about Dynamite is you still have so many big stars and so many people that you're, 1 week you see on TV, 1 week you don't see on TV. And with Collision, for the most part, we've been seeing the same people each and every single week. So I feel like he's gotten more of an opportunity to really flourish on the show. So that's been something that's been cool to see. All right. So the other thing that I skipped over was the Acclaim stuff. So really quick, we got a video showing that, they miss Billy Gunn. It's very quick. They kind of say a couple of words, and then afterwards we go into a video from the House of Black. And the House of Black is basically showing that they got his boots and they put them in the trash can and they buried them forever. So they got rid of Billy Gunn's boots that he had left in the ring, basically signifying that he was done and that he had been retiring. So it's clear we're, getting a program with the Acclaimed and House of Black. That's where we're at. And here's the thing, though. I don't know if this is going to happen at All In. I don't know if this is going to happen at All Out, because let's not forget, All Out is still happening, guys. It's literally the weekend after All In, and we only have 2 matches announced. But I have a feeling, given that I'm sure they want the Acclaimed at All In, I'm pretty sure we're probably going to get this match there. And if we do, what is it? It can't be 3-on-2. I mean, it can, right? It can be 3-on-2, but if and when they decide to make this match, whether they make it for All In or All Out, I'm definitely expecting to see Billy Gunn come in and help out his guys, because there ain't no way it's just going to be like a 3-on-2 type of match, or that they're going to take out one guy and not have him be part of the match. So regardless of whether they do it at All In or All Out, I'm definitely expecting Billy Gunn to return and, do his thing and have his moment with the Acclaim. So that's definitely where I think this is going there. But other than that, there's not too much else to get into in regards to that. We got a kidnapping, everybody. No, this is not Tuesday NXT. No, this did not happen at the Performance Center parking lot. I know, right? No, they did a kidnapping. And I'm not lying when I say this, by the way. So if you didn't watch Collision and you don't believe me right now, please believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. They did a kidnapping in Mexico. Yep, they totally did. All right, so what's his face? Jose, the assistant, is on the phone, and he's being yelled at by Roosh. and Rush is pissed off with everything that's been going on with La Facción, and he's not happy with it. And he's like, I want the group in Mexico. I want that group in Mexico. So they all go to Mexico. They all go to Mexico. We see Preston and Dralistico freaking, they're vibing. They're out there, the freaking dance clubs. They're jazzing it up. They're getting whatever wasted. I don't even know if they are, but they're vibing. They're partying. They're doing their thing. They come out and they're like, ooh, we love Mexico. Yeah, whatever. And then a van pulls up. A van. And I'm like, oh no, is this where they're going with this? Like, what are they doing? So they roll up with a van, and these guys come out dressed in black, covered up in black, and they get these black bags and they put them over their head, hold them up as hostages, and take them inside the van. And then you see Jose, the assistant, basically like tap on the van for them to go. So he's clearly a part of this. This is clearly Rush's doing. And so yeah, Rush had he had them freaking kidnapped. We had a kidnapping, guys. I don't know what else to say. I thought this was like funny because I have a really good sense of humor. Thought this was funny, and I'm curious to see where they go with this. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued with what they're doing here. So they got me sold on this one so far. But there you go, guys. We got a kidnapping today, everybody. Or like MD89 says here, some adult napping. I know it's kind of funny that like even like if it's an adult, we still say kidnapping. Like, I don't ever hear anyone actually say adult napping. Like, I've never heard anyone say adult napping. If someone says adult napping, I'm going to be like, oh, does that mean an adult takes a nap? Literally. That's literally what I would think it means. Like, my brain's not going to go to kidnapping at all. So there you go. Tiger Claw Gaming says, wouldn't it be abduction? Yeah, they were abducted. There you go. They were abducted. All right, moving on from this. We got Willow Nightingale versus Diamante. So for the most part, like this was another match that I kind of was just feeling like we were just going through the motions. Because again, I care a lot about Willow Nightingale. I love Willow Nightingale. I think she's really cool, but we've only seen so much of Diamante. So I'm still trying to get invested. I'm still trying to get invested into the character, into her, into period. That just happens when you don't see someone very often on TV. You're just not there yet, right? Like you can't just be a fan just like this, at least not for me. So anyways, this match was all right. They did get a good amount of time here. But again, like I told you guys, it felt like they were really stretching things out. And even with this one, I felt the exact same way. Somewhere maybe like midways of the match, a little bit more than before midways, we do see Mercedes Martinez comes out. She gets in here, and so you're pretty much expecting her to get in the way of all of this. And Diamante, at one point, she's like mocking Willow. I did love that a whole lot, by the way. I did love Diamante mocking Willow. I thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, we see a missile drop kick from Willow to Diamante, and she's almost going to go for the pin, but instead Mercedes Martinez pulls out Diamante. And afterwards, because of this, Chris Statlander, your TBS Women's Champ, in case you guys forgot, comes out, and she ends up taking out Mercedes Martinez. And so Willow then hits her pounce on Diamante. And so that's how she's able to get the victory there. But for the most part, this was fine. I kind of felt like we were just going through the motions here. I'm not really feeling what they're doing with Chris Statlander as TBS champion, because I keep forgetting she's champion, and I don't like that. I don't like that they keep making me forget that she's champion. So I do want to see some changes in that, where I feel like now we're just, once again, when it comes to the women and the women's championships of any sorts, they tend to throw them all in together instead of really focusing in on a major program. And so I would much rather them focus on a major program, and hopefully they do that with Mercedes and Chris Statlander moving forward versus just a bunch of people getting involved in this entire storyline. So I'm trying to get invested into it. I'm trying. I'm not there yet, but I'm trying. Also, always pop for Willow Nightingale's pounce, man. She has my favorite pounce. Screw Keith Lee. It's Willow's pounce all the freaking way, man. Willow's pounce pops me a whole lot more. So she's now got my favorite pounce. I don't care what anyone says. She's got my favorite pounce. Living Dead Frank says, Willow is the effing best. Eric Isaac says Willow and Chris Statlander could be a great team. Yeah, but I don't want to see right now them as a team, only because like Chris Statlander, I want to see her do her own thing as champ. want to see her do her own thing. All right, we got a super chat here from LaRon Ford. Thank you so much to LaRon, who says, do you think we'll get a second women's match on the card at AEW All In? So I think now we are at 9 matches for we're at 9 matches for the show, and one of them is taking place on the pre-show. So I'm still I would hope we get one more. But which one? That's the question. Who is going to be in it? What are they going to do? What are our options? If you guys got some good options, let me know, because nothing's really coming up to the top of my head right now, unless they do something clearly with Chris Statlander, who is the TBS champion. They could do something there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm forgetting about at this moment. I probably can. I'll wait for some chats to come in here to inspire some ideas. And speaking, by the way, of the women and All In, we got Toni Storm. Toni Storm is going to be part of the Fatal 4-Way. Once again, if you haven't yet, check out my interview with Hikaru Shida. And we do talk about this match. She does talk to me about going into this massive pay-per-view with over 80,000 people at All In. And Toni Storm has been doing this thing backstage with Lexi Nair, and it's become a highlight of Collision. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, the last 2 weeks, Toni Storm was up there in terms of the highlights of Collision and a backstage segment. And I'm like, damn, wow, they really need to add more to the show here, because you know what I mean? Like, a little quick backstage segment shouldn't be like one of the main things that like is really the thing that we want to talk about in regards to Collision. But anyways, I am liking what Toni Storm is doing so much more here than anything she's ever done in AEW. Like, I have been trying so hard to get into Toni Storm and everything she's been doing in AEW. And there's times where I'm like, they pull me in enough, but then they lose me. And then they pull me back in and they lose me again. They've been pulling me back in with this Toni Storm character. And someone on Twitter tweeted me, actually a couple of people were tweeting me that the thing that they love about the Toni Storm character is that she's like this Hollywood diva. Like, she's like the woman that someone tweeted me this, something along the lines of, she's this woman who's had like, she's acting like those rich ladies that have had like 5 divorces already, and they're so mean and just don't care about anyone but themselves. I love it. So last week, when she had this backstage interaction with Lexi Nair, she was basically telling her that she was pissed off because Lexi asked her about Hikaru Shida. And she started telling her like, oh, security should escort you. I don't even know what you're doing here. You shouldn't even be here. And then she ends the segment by throwing her shoe at Lexi Nair. And so then today we get her telling her, I don't know who you are, but the girl who interviewed me last week was very, very rude. And obviously it was Lexi Nair, and she even makes fun of her, and she says, like, she makes fun of her face, and she tells her, oh, I know you're new here, but keep that, I forgot what she said, but like, keep that face like away from me or something like that. And then afterwards, once this ended again, she threw something at her. I don't think it was a shoe this time. I think it was something else. But either way, this is working. It's very funny. And I'm digging a lot more with what they're doing with Toni Storm here on Collision with this super diva. Like, she's like, you know what she reminds me of? Those opera singers. She reminds me of an opera singer who is so freaking conceited and is so diva-ish and is so rich, doesn't give a damn about anybody else but themselves. That is the vibe that I'm getting from Toni Storm. Like, I'm ready to see her break out in some opera song or something. Like, those are the vibes that she is giving. Like, she is giving like full on like prima donna vibe. So anyways, that's the thing that I'm definitely digging in regards to Toni Storm. All right, so let's see what else we got here and what people are saying. This one is from Sheldon Jackson, who says, so you gonna disrespect Monty Brown's pounce? Dude, I'm mostly with like right now. Her pounce is freaking awesome. It's freaking awesome. Arza 288 says Athena versus someone on the buy-in. Athena's been having a string of great matches, and it would be cool to have something like that in the buy-in for sure. Arza288, thank you so much for that suggestion as well. Oh, this one's good. This one's from My Name Is Not Earl. In regards to Toni Storm, says she's Marilyn Monroe, Madonna, and Lady Gaga all rolled up into one. Like, from what I gather, Marilyn Monroe, so she's got the Marilyn Monroe look, right? Like the super super blonde hair, the curls, and they're all like primped up. She's got the makeup and the clothes like Marilyn Monroe. But for the most part, and from biographies and movies and things that I know about Marilyn Monroe, she was not a diva. She was like a sweet person, and at least that's what I've read about her. And with Madonna, Madonna's different. She is more. Oh God, how would I describe Madonna? I love Madonna. I don't know how else to say it, but she's freaking Madonna. And then Lady Gaga, I don't really know if I see Lady Gaga in there. She's definitely got the Marilyn Monroe look. And I get why you're saying Lady Gaga too, because she also has the very, very white hair and she does have similar makeup as well. But I do get what you're saying here with all of these people rolled up in one. So anyways, I hope that they keep doing what they're doing with her and really run with it, because that would be really good. Living Dead Frank says second match for Wembley, Statlander versus a returning Jade. I'm curious to see if Jade Cargill is going to be part of All In. I don't know, but I feel like she should be, because she was such a big part of, what they've been doing with the women in AEW. Her long reign is, she was the TBS champion, like for the longest time. Like that bout really felt like it was her thing. It was her thing. And so I do think it would be kind of cool if we did get Jade Cargill at All In. Pretty girls walk like this. If she were to come out with that pretty girls walk, I don't think they'll do it again, but if she did, that would be really cool. And I could see them wanting to have Jade Cargill there, and I don't see why not. But it's a matter of like creative. What do they have planned for her? What are they going to do with her? There's a lot more like what ifs and whatnot. So we'll see. And let's go ahead and continue on from here. And yeah, Tiger Claw Gaming says Madonna is an icon. Hell yeah, guys. I love Madonna. I see a lot of people talk shit about her, but I'm like, dude, she's Madonna. You can't talk shit on Madonna. What the hell? All right, so moving on from here. And let's get into this Will Hobbs versus Kevin Koo match. Really, the thing here, quick squash. Nobody cares about the squash. Nobody gives a damn about the squash. What we care about is what happened afterwards. Will Hobbs, after his match, after he gets his win, Miro pops up on the screen and he starts talking about how they have a lot in common, and that he mentions he used to also rely on a book for guidance. And he mentions that he used to have distractions, and mentions that his heart, it's broken for her. And I'm like, where are we going with this, Miro? You still lost me on the her stuff, but he's been talking about her for a while. And he's talking about how he now walks alone. And he closes this out by saying, I am godless, but I know you are not, because you pray to me now. Ooh, that was good. That was so good. I hope he continues to use this moving forward, because that was a great freaking line. And then Will Hobbs is like just staring at him, and this match is happening at All Out. So this is one of the few matches that actually feels like there is some planning for it heading into All Out. It doesn't feel like it's just being like, I know they just started with the challenge last week, but it actually feels like they're giving some sort of direction for it, because everything else, there's nothing else besides the freaking Darby match with Luchasaurus. And yeah, they've been spending a lot of time with that story too. But other than that, that's it. That's literally it for All Out. Like, we don't got anything else. I don't even know exactly what even the matches could possibly be. I feel like they can go so many different directions. I have no idea what else they're going to add to that card. I'm not expecting a small card either. There's at least like 10 more matches that got to be announced for that, and we're nowhere near that yet. I don't know if we're going to be getting them starting at Dynamite, or if it's not going to happen until All In. It would make sense to get these matches, get an indication of where we're at with All Out at All In. If we don't, that would be just freaking weird. But I feel like we have to wait and see what happens at All In to find out what matches we're going to get at All Out. The good thing is that they do have Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision to work up some matches. But I'm talking about like, we are getting close to the wire here. Like, this is it. Like, this is happening. Like, it's happening 1 week afterwards, and we only have 2 matches announced. It's crazy. But anyways, I love this. This is good. The promo that Miro did was great. That was really the major thing to take away. Johnny sends in a super chat saying Taya is going to mimic Taylor Swift. Oh, that'd be cool. I don't see why not. That would be awesome. Booze on Live says all in 80,846 WTF. I can't believe I'm going to be there, man. I was at WrestleMania 32 and now I'm going to be at All In. Like, that's pretty cool to be able to experience those kinds of crowds, especially the foreign crowds. Well, I'm going to be the foreigner in this case, but to me, I always feel like whenever they go to all of these places outside of the United States, like they always feel more lively. Not to bury my own like country, but I feel like sometimes we only pop when we want to pop. But I feel like the international crowds are just a little bit more fun, a little bit more cooler. So I want to be part of that. Like, include me. I want to experience this. Living Dead Frank says, unless Mercedes is available for a triple threat. I don't think so, guys. I don't think so. I would hope so, but I don't think so. Thank you so much, Living Dead Frank, for that super chat as well. I appreciate that, man. And we got another one here for Grapple Geekery, who says, Tony's acting like Blanche Dubois? I don't know how to read that word. From Streetcar named Desire, in my opinion. Delusional, borderline insane, after falling from grace. Yes, I like that. Yes, all of this. This is all good. She's acting like those old Hollywood like movie actors that were so freaking hot in their day, and now they're, like you mentioned, falling from grace, but they're still so freaking high strung and only care about themselves. I can see that vibe, I can see that vibe. Grapple Geekery, I too like this description as well. Living Dead Frank is Dubois. Thank you, Dubois. I'm gonna practice that. Dubois. Blanche Dubois. It's embarrassing. All right. Moving on from this, let's get into the best part of the night. But before I get into the good stuff, friendly reminder to everybody. If you haven't had a chance to go and leave a review on my podcast page, please do so, guys. I officially have 55 ratings over at Instincts Culture by Denise Salcedo. And I think last week or the week before that, I forget what week, I peaked at number 23 on the top US podcast charts for pro wrestling in the United States. And we got a couple more ratings. This one is from Jay Cortez, who gives a 5-star rating, says, Denise is amazing. I love how energetic and into wrestling that she is. I love to show girls like that. She seems like she would be a blast to go to a live event with. Thank you so much to Jay Cortez for sending this in. I appreciate it. I'm actually kind of boring at wrestling shows. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not that fun at wrestling shows. I say that because I'm so into what I'm watching sometimes. Actually, that's not true. I do react when it really gets me to like react, but for the most part, I'm very like focused in on what's happening. So maybe I could be a little bit more fun, but Kaden sends in another 5-star review saying, awesome podcast. When I play wrestling, she is amazing at what she does. I appreciate that, Kaden, anime fan of 488, for also sending in and taking the time to leave a review on the podcast. Guys, I'm trying to get to 100 ratings by the end of the year. So if you guys have the time or want to, please do so. The links are in the description box below. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. So now let's press on and talk about the best thing that happened on today's show. I mentioned that this was really, if you missed Collision, the only thing I would suggest you watch really is the Darby Allin Christian Cage match. This was freaking great. And I feel bad because I don't think the Darby Allin Luchasaurus match is going to be as good. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that because Darby's freaking crazy and Darby's always going to make sure things are really good and his matches are always really good. So maybe I'm wrong in that, but it's just that Christian Cage is, to me, just, light years ahead of Luchasaurus. And so this match was really freaking great. So it is going to be a little bit, they have the competition set for themselves. Like Luchasaurus has a lot of competition going into this match here against Darby. But again, like I said, Darby makes sure that pretty much everything that he does is good. But let's kind of talk a little bit about what went down here. So when Christian comes out, as we all know, he's been doing this whole thing where like the belt is his, even though it's not technically his, it's Luchasaurus. And I finally figured out why Luchasaurus does not have his belt. Because he's an introvert, guys. He's too embarrassed to ask for his belt back. We've all seen the memes. We've all seen the memes where introverts cannot go and correct the waiter. Why? Because they're too embarrassed. So that's it, guys. I figured it out. Luchasaurus is way too embarrassed to ask Christian Cage for his title back. I'm being kidding, of course. I'm kidding, of course. I'm clowning here. But anyway, so Christian comes out. He is wearing the belt, and he even kisses it. And we see that Swerve and AR Fox are watching backstage. So there was a lot that happened in the actual match that made it really cool. First of all, Darby Allin, literally, he sells for anything and everything, and it makes everything feel so much better. Like all of his bumping and everything that he does, it makes things a lot more entertaining. There was a moment in this match where Darby even pulled up Christian Cage's turtleneck up his face. I thought that was kind of a little unique spot. I like seeing little things like that. I thought this was funny because they even collided at one point. And anytime we see that on Collision, it's kind of funny, guys. Like seeing two guys collide on Collision. I'm sorry. That's very, very funny. And then that's kind of my comedy there. But anyway, so we get a lot more here. Some good stuff. We saw Darby attempt a coffin drop on Luchasaurus, but Luchasaurus catches him and throws him into the barricade, and literally they take advantage of him on the outside. But there was a really, really awesome spot after this. So Christian Cage is set up on a chair. He's sitting down on a chair, and Darby Allin goes to the top freaking row, and homeboy is freaking crazy and does a drop kick onto Christian Cage on that chair. Please watch that match because I cannot describe it well enough. It was such a cool moment to see. It was executed perfectly. It looked awesome. Dude looked like a shooting star just going straight into freaking Christian Cage. That was awesome. I was a huge fan of that. Then there was another moment where I'm like, God damn freaking Darby. He's freaking crazy. And what he ended up doing was Christian is laying down on the apron area, and Darby goes to the top rope and he's going to hit the coffin drop. And he does it. He goes for his coffin drop, but Luchasaurus yanks out Christian Cage out of the way. And so Darby Allin goes back first into the ring apron, guys. Ooh, brutal. No matter how many times you see something like that, Darby going spine first into that apron from that coffin drop was absolutely brutal. And then it continued on from here. Like there was some really great moments. Christian hit Darby with the belt. And then there was a point where Christian goes for the 3 count after this, but Darby ends up getting his foot up on the rope, so he doesn't get it. People are chanting, "This is awesome." At one point, we see Darby Allin start biting Christian Cage, and then at another point, we see Christian spear Darby, and this is what I mean by Darby selling shit. Christian Cage speared him, and the man literally went into a ball when he folded practically backwards. Like the dude turned into a pretzel from that spear. Oh, it was so good. I made sure to rewind that and watch that a couple of times because I was a big fan of how Darby took that spear. We end up seeing Darby get the win with a roll up, but this was so much fun. They did a phenomenal job. This was definitely match of the night. This was the only reason to tune into Collision. It was miles ahead of anything else that was on this show. Really, really great stuff. After the match, we see Luchasaurus chokeslam Darby Allin, and then freaking Christian makes Tony Schiavone count the 3, and so that just adds to Christian Cage being crazy and delusional. So it was awesome. I love this. Big fan. This was the only reason to check out the show, and really loved it. Let's see what people are saying here and how everyone feels. We got a couple of super chats here. This one's from Wyatt Cox, who says, let me see if they pull that. Okay. He says, Tony equals Nora Desmond from Sunset Boulevard. Okay. Sorry. I don't know what show that is. So I'm so sorry, Wyatt Cox. Tweet me a picture and on Twitter or something, and I will make sure to look at that. I always feel so bad when someone brings something up and I don't know what it is. I feel so bad. But Wyatt Cox, thank you so much for the super chat, though. I still appreciate it. Arza288 says, Darby takes sick bumps launches himself at high speed, bites people, and has hundreds of different pins. I now realize that Darby is a high-speed Joshi. So, dude, freaking Darby, I appreciate his work because no matter what match, no matter who he's in there with, some of my favorite work that he's done has actually been with Samoa Joe. All those series of matches that we saw with him and Samoa Joe were really just chef's kiss, guys. Samoa Joe beat the life out of him, and you can tell Samoa Joe enjoyed it, and so did Darby Allin. So I appreciate a lot of what Darby Allin does in the ring, and even he can have different types of matches too. Like, let's not forget his match that he had with MJF. I think it was Full Gear, the opening match, and that was a totally different type of match, but it was freaking great. And even in that match, people were like, oh shit, MJF can actually really go, because at that time, there was still a lot of people doubting MJF, but nah, they proved it. They did phenomenal. So I've been very, very impressed with pretty much everything Darby has done in ring. And we got another super chat here from Living Dead Frank, who says, saw Darby at an IWS show in Montreal before all his rise. He was very reserved and focused. He was on to great things. He lost to Evil Uno BTW. So wow, I love that. I love hearing all these types of stories from like before they were famous, right? Like before they made it to the big time. I actually got to ring announce a couple of Darby's matches before he got signed to AEW when he was working at Suburban Fight. I don't know how many of you guys know of Suburban Fight, but it was a promotion out here in SoCal. And basically it was no ring, no rules. And they would have a bunch of matches in bars. They would have matches in bars. And the things I saw Darby do at that show, because you got to get creative. You don't have a ring, right? All you have is like a stage where the band is at. You have like a couple of little bar areas, and then, you know, just like random furniture pieces and architectural pieces from the actual building itself. And so I saw some crazy things that Darby would do at those shows. And I had nothing but respect for him on those stuff, man, because you could tell he really cared and put a lot of thought into what he was doing for any of those matches. So yeah, Living Dead Frank, thank you so much for the super chat as well, man. I appreciate that. And all right, so I think I'm almost caught up here, but I got a lot of people here putting over Darby Allin, so I'm really happy about that. Mr. Gonzalez says, no ring in a bar, that's nuts. Yes, I actually called like I think I ring announced like 10 different shows for them. And then at one time, no, maybe 3 times, actually like 3 times. They also did, they hosted shows at, what was it? It was I don't remember if it was a gay bar or a gay strip club. It might've just been a gay bar, but that one was really cool too, because it was such a different setup. And they literally had like dongs on the wall. I'm not kidding you guys. Like, I'm not making this up. They had like, these, sexy men freaking, what do you call those things that you put on the wall? And they're kind of like neon and they kind of move a little bit, but they go on the wall. And they had one of this like naked dude, and he's just there like being naked and he's on the wall like this. It was really cool to do those shows as well. So I ring announced those shows too. They were a lot of fun. So I did a couple of shows with them, and they did a lot with GCW. So basically what they would do is GCW would have their shows, and then right afterwards, Suburban Fight would do shows immediately after GCW. So like, let's say GCW would end like at almost midnight, the Suburban Fight shows would start at midnight. They're not running anymore. They're a different company now, but it was very, very fun. But they attracted like half wrestling fans and then like half casuals, because people just wanted to see other people fight in a bar. So yeah, it was a very cool experience. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. Thank you, everybody. I seriously appreciate you guys and everybody coming in to check out the Collision shows. Again, next week is going to be different here on the channel, everyone. So if you don't see me here on my normal times, please know it's because I'm in London, different time zones, different situations. So I'm going to try my best to put up post shows. They're going to probably come way after, but I'll just keep an eye out on my Twitter account. Keep an eye out here on the YouTube page, because I always schedule streams in advance. So if you come in and you don't see a stream, chances are it's going to be until later. And regardless, like, you'll see if it's up there. A lot of it has to do with my Wi-Fi connection and just, all of those factors that I have to consider while I'm in London. But also keep an eye out here for the channel because I'm going to be part of the AEW Media Day. I'm going to be getting interviews there with talent. And then also, I'm assuming they're going to do a media scrum, so I'll also be posting those here like I normally do on the channel. So there's going to be a lot of things coming. And then, of course, heading into All Out, I will also be at All Out. So there's going to be a lot, guys, a lot going on. Ferthausen says, enjoy London. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. I can't complain, man. I'm going to London. Who the hell is going to complain when they're going to London? Shit, ain't nobody going to complain at all. Thank you so much, Ferthausen, for this very generous super chat. And also, Ferthausen, I don't know if you saw my reply to you, but also thank you for leaving that super thanks on one of my previous videos. I forget if it was the RVD one or the Sheeta one, but thank you for that as well. I do see that. I do read the comments, guys. I go through my comments. I read what you guys say. I respond to a lot of people. I hope YouTube notifies you, but if you go through any of my videos, especially my interviews, you will see that I respond to people and I truly take the time to read what people are saying about my content because that's very important to me. All right, guys, that is it. I am done here. And I will see you guys next week. Next time you guys see me stream, I'll be in London sipping tea and eating biscuits. All right, everyone, have an awesome day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.